You are tuned in to Kids in the Pit. Hey guys, it's Gabe from the Kids in the Pit podcast. Today I'm joined by Brandan Schieppati from the band Bleeding Through. Hey Brandan, I got to see you guys in Sayreville, New Jersey a few weeks ago with Shai Halud. And thanks for letting me interview you. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Come on.
Okay. So first, what nationality is Schieppati?
It's Italian.
Okay.
I
thought I'm also Italian.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah, I know. I see. I believe it's a northern Italian descent. That's where the name comes from, because the SCH in the name, it comes from like more like a German Swiss type name, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm Italian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also so I'm my nationality, my last name as
Antonio.
there, Antonio.
Yeah.
We're from our family's from Abruzzo, Italy. Do you know where that is?
What's that?
Abruzzo, Italy.
I've heard of Abruzzo, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're from there. So I never lived there, but like my great grandma, I think, or great grandma is from there.
That's awesome, man.
So, yeah. So for those that don't know, what are you doing Bleeding Through?
Well, I'm the screamer, singer, frontman of Bleeding Through. It's something that I never wanted to be a lead singer of a band. I always wanted to play guitar, and I played guitar in bands, and then eventually I started filling in for a couple of the bands I played guitar in, singing. And then I had a friend of mine that basically was like, "Hey, like you're really good at being like a frontman. Like, what if you just be a frontman?" And I'm like, "Okay." And so we started Bleeding Through, and it kind of went from there. But
Cool.
I started playing music as like a guitar player. Like I love guitar. I played guitar in a band called Throwdown and 18 Visions and a whole bunch of other bands as well. So,
Cool.
And then when Bleeding Through started, it was kind of one of those things where I didn't ever think that Bleeding Through was ever going to leave Orange County, where we're from, and then we put out a demo, and that turned into a CD, and then eventually just kind of came to this thing, and it was cool, man. So I had to like embrace being a singer. And so, but for me, I was always very not like scared on stage of being a singer, but it was more like I struggled with some like mental disabilities that were really holding me back a little bit from like opening up on stage. But I learned how to kind of cope with that and get through that. And yeah, I feel like now that's like my best thing is that because I have those issues, that I think it translates well on stage, and it makes for like a really energetic approach. And I just, you've seen us play. I don't stop moving. It's like I love it. I love being the front man.
Yeah. My mom has a really, really old Throwdown shirt.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, actually, here's a funny story. When we were on tour with Throwdown, when I was on tour with Throwdown in 1999, the lead singer of the band lost his voice, so I had to step in and sing a show. And the first show I ever sang in a band on tour or anything was in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So New Jersey is where the first ever time I actually got on stage and with a microphone and sang a show. It's kind of crazy.
Cool. Did you play guitar and sing at the same time, or just?
No, the singer we had moved the guitar, and then I just took the microphone.
Positions?
We swapped it out, yeah.
Nice. I played guitar on stage last Tuesday for the first time.
Nice. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was very fun. With this band called Keep Flying. They're like kind of like a ska. They're a mix between like ska and hardcore. I know it sounds really weird, but it's actually really good.
That's cool, man.
I got to play on stage with them because
that's awesome.
We're friends with them. So, how long has Bleeding Through been a band?
We started in 1999. So we started in like I said, like my friend saw us play a show, a local show where I sang for Throwdown, and came up to me afterwards like, "You need to be a singer of a band." And I'm like, "Well, I don't really want to be." And he's like, "But you should. You have it. Like I watch you on stage, and you're a singer, you're a front man. So let's start a band. And I'm like, okay. And we started it. We just put together a band with a bunch of people from other bands in the area, like a band called Taken, and so it was kind of like a mix of like people from other bands, and it started in our drummer's bedroom, and it kind of went from there.
It's cool. I guess you're happy you decided to sing in a band.
Yes, I am very happy. I'm happy with my decision for sure.
Yeah. So where's Bleeding Through from, and do you all still live there?
Yeah, we're based out of Southern California, mainly Orange County. So all like the areas like around that, like, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Orange, Irvine, and then our drummer was from the Inland Empire. So he lives out, he was from Redlands. So just that. And then Marta, our keyboard player, actually is from, she's from Idaho, but we met her when we were on tour in Seattle. So, but we were all based out of Orange County, still are based out of Orange County.
That's cool. So for those not familiar with Bleeding Through, what song should they look up? And do you have a favorite song to perform live?
Man. I mean, I like to kind of always tell people to go with something newer because you get like the fresher kind of like look, and feel and listen. I would say the song Rage from our last EP, which is titled Rage. That'd be a good song to do first, and then kind of work your way back. Maybe start with like our record Portrait of the Goddess. There's a song called Savior Saint Salvation that on that record that is a really cool song, and we recorded it in 2001. And our friend M Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold sings on it. It's a really cool song. It was just, I think that song, you listen to it, you get a pretty good grip of like what Bleeding Through is and how we started on that one.
With someone from Avenged Sevenfold sung on your song?
Yeah, we've been friends with them forever. I mean, it's kind of cool to see that band where they are now, because back in the day they were going on tour with us and opening for us, and it's really cool. They're some of the best dudes ever, man. Like, they've always stayed very true to like their roots, and they're rooted in hardcore and metal and stuff like that. But they just wanted to be the biggest band they possibly could, and they've achieved it. So it's really cool to see a band start with the same place that we started and get to that point.
Yeah. My guitar teacher taught me one of the an Avenged Sevenfold song. I don't remember what it's called. I know it was in drop D, which is probably their main tuning, because I know some Avenged Sevenfold, but not much. Like, I know like one song that he taught me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called though.
It's cool, man. They do hard guitar stuff, so that's cool for you.
Yeah. So what's your favorite place you've toured in, and what's the most obscure place you've toured in?
Man, I'd say probably my favorite place is Australia. Just from day one when we went down there in 2005, I believe was the first time. And we just got received with open arms from the people down there, and they made us feel like we were part of them and they were part of us. They just made us feel really at home. It was just a really cool thing. And through the years of going there, we've always been received very well, and just a really positive vibe down there all the time. And they love heavy music. So it's just a good thing down there, man. Like, we hope to go back there soon. We've been there, I think, 6 times through our career, which is a lot. Yeah. But we had popularity down there, so it was one of those things where we got offers down there a lot. As far as most obscure, we did play a show in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and when we played in Malaysia, we played in Southeast Asia a lot of places, but the Malaysia show was definitely interesting because I had to have a meeting on a phone with the government and explain my lyrics to them. And because it's very controlled there, it's very like religious based, and a bunch of different cultures are there. So, and they told us that we were the first American metal band to go there in 6 years. So,
how do you say it? I love geography. I just don't know much about Malaysia. How do you?
Kuala Lumpur. People call it KL, Malaysia. You just call it KL. But yeah, that was interesting because we went down there and it was such a blast of cultural diversity, and it was so amazing. Like, the people we had no idea if people were even going to be at the show. Like, who knows about us in Malaysia? And first we had to, I had to meet with like government officials, and they're telling me what I can do on stage and what I can't do on stage. There's there's a lot of rules, but the fans were great. We did we hung out with them a lot after the show. We had a really good time. That was probably the most interesting place we played, just because of what it took to even get on the stage and how we had to, convince their government to let us play on the stage.
That's awesome. Did people sing along, and did they?
Yeah, it was crazy. Awesome. One of those things where I'm like, how do all these people know about our band? And they just did. It was really cool.
It's just it's cool that like you said, it's cool that the music can get all the way out there to Malaysia or Australia, and it's just everywhere. It's so global.
Yeah, man, it's insane. Like hardcore, punk rock, metal, it travels well, and it really makes the world feel a lot smaller because we all are fans of this music and stuff like that. And so just the people that we met and the experiences we've had have been great.
Yeah. What's your favorite food from another country?
Well, what's funny about that question is that I like Indian food, but only not in America. And in Europe, Indian food is great. And it's like curry and stuff like that. So we're talking about Malaysia, they have great Indian food and stuff like that. So Australia has it too. So anywhere we're outside of the United States, I always go Indian food because I like really spicy.
Still good Indian food?
What's that?
Canada have good Indian food?
Canada has good Indian food too.
Nice. Yeah. Do you have a crazy or funny tour story you want to share?
Well, the craziest tour story that we've ever had is in 2000, I'm trying to get the year right, but maybe 2003, we were in a very bad van accident where you could go on YouTube and look it up, just look up Bleeding Through van accident. It's crazy. So we were driving from Utah to Colorado, and we hit a patch of black ice and spun off the road. But when we spun off the road, there was a wreck on the other side where the police officers on the other side were taking care of another wreck, and they had their dash cams on. So they captured our van spinning out of control, heading towards the cops, and it showed our trailer flip, breaking off and flipping. It showed our merch and equipment flying everywhere. It was crazy. So it's been on police craziest videos, and we were on all these crazy shows like that, because the police cam got our van accident actually in it. So that was the craziest thing ever. We see it from their perspective, and we realize how lucky we are to even be alive, because when we were spinning out of control, we hit a car that was already flipped over from the black ice going the other way. And that car, because we hit that car, we did not start flipping, and we would have started flipping if we didn't hit that car. So that would have been way worse. So it was kind of a crazy story. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. I'll have my mom put the video at the end of this podcast. I'm so
glad you can. That'd be cool.
Were there any injuries from it? I almost said energies. I don't
know. No, luckily we all walked away from that. No injuries. I think our tour manager had a little cut on his head, but other than that, we walked away, and we still talk about it all the time how lucky we were to walk away from that.
Yeah. So what was the first punk, metal, or hardcore show you attended, and how old were you?
I was 11 years old, and I went to a Sublime show.
That's how old I am.
Yeah, so you got started to say, I was 11 years old. I went to a Sublime show in Huntington Beach, and it was Sublime and a bunch of other punk bands on there. But that was my first underground punk show I ever went to, and I was hooked right away. I'm this is great. The energy, the camaraderie, everything about it. It's very human. You could you could meet the bands, and it's very cool. So that was that's the thing that really got me into it.
Nice. Bad Religion was my first concert. I was 9, and it was in Orlando, Florida, even though I live in Delaware.
Yeah.
So every year, we go to Disney World, me and my family.
Yeah.
Around late October, early November, and on our way there, was it before or after we went to the parks? Before. Okay. Before we started going to the parks, the day before, there was a Bad Religion show in Orlando at Universal Studios, because they have a Hard Rock Cafe or something.
Yeah, we played Hard Rock before. That's cool. So Bad Religion was your first show.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a good first show, man.
I know, that was really fun.
They're great.
What are some bands that first got you into heavy music, And what's a band you suggest other people go see live?
Well, when I got into heavy music, when it started getting a little bit more like from punk rock to heavy, I mean, I started like listening to bands like Pantera and Slayer and stuff like that in the metal world. But punk rock wise, when I got into hardcore, it was a lot of Cro-Mags, Sick of It All. A lot of the New York stuff as well. Let's do Judge, all that kind of stuff. So that's the stuff that really kind of pulled me towards it. A band that's called Integrity that's been around for a long time. They were a band that really got me involved, got me like stuck on it. But I mean, one of my favorite bands is Cro-Mags. And they just bring the energy. It's so insane how to see some of these older bands. No, I'm saying older because we're older too, but like to me, those bands are still older than us and they still bring it like so hard. So if you can, one of the greatest bands live, period, is Sick of It All. Sick of It All is automatic. They're just such a good energy. They're so professional. They're so good. They're so tight. Everything about them. Some of the best dudes we've ever met and had the experience to tour with. And I'd say probably that's a band that you should go see like right away.
Yeah, I saw them 3 times so far. Once at Burns Fest, one at the Auto Bar in Baltimore, and one at Brooklyn Bowl, Philadelphia.
Oh, nice! That's awesome. Yeah, they're great people. Yeah. We did a tour with them in Europe in 2003, and that really kind of like helped us as far as like knowing how to operate your band and knowing how to put the energy forth and take care of yourself and make the band and the experience and the show for the fans that are there the number one thing. And they instilled that in us at a very early on age for us, and we've just carried that for a whole career.
Oh. I'm also going to see them 5 times in March. Albany, let me think. So Albany, Sayreville, Millersville, PA, Leesburg, Virginia. Wait. Oh, and then Baltimore.
Yeah, there you go.
And
cool, man.
And my mom used to work for them selling merch in 2008. And
that's amazing. Well, then she knows, how amazing that band is. They're incredible people. They're incredible.
And she went to Europe with them selling merch. So
nice. And that's where they're really big in Europe. It's incredible to see because that's cool.
Yeah, I saw them on like a giant stage in Europe. I think it was like France, somewhere in like France or something.
Yeah.
And you know how like Pete likes to jump around a lot on stage.
Yeah.
I bet he had so much fun on that stage because he had so much space.
I know. It's cool, man. I mean, like seeing him in the States is one thing, but when you see him in Europe in front of like 5,000 people, you're like, this is what this band deserves for their time of doing this and being such an influence for all these other bands. Like they deserve that. So it's cool to see them on that stage. It's another level of awesome.
Yeah. Check out my episode with Pete, I guess. So
yeah, I will. Absolutely.
Okay. So now for some non-music related questions. Other than music, what do you do for a living?
I own a gym. I've owned a gym called Rise Above Fitness for the last 12 years. I got into fitness at an early on age. I was an athlete in high school, and the weight room was always something that I really liked, and it was good for my head. And I've always kind of seen it as like music and fitness to me goes hand in hand. I can't do one without the other. And so I decided like in 2010 that I was going to really dedicate myself to like opening a gym and starting a culture in the gym. And it's still going. It's a really cool spot. It's unique. It's in Huntington Beach, California. We listen to heavy music and punk and just everything in here. And it's a definitely unique type space that there's nothing like it around. So I just kind of wanted to build that, like how I built a band and build a culture. And so that's what I do on the side. That's not on the side. I mean, that's my day-to-day job. Like I'm here every morning at 6 a.m. and leave at about 7 p.m. And, it's cool. Train people, get people in shape and have them crush goals that they didn't think was possible. And it's really rewarding. It's a positive environment for me and my members every day. And it's awesome.
Wait, what happens when you're on tour?
When I'm on tour, I don't really tour. We don't really tour like long stints of time. We're pretty much like a weekend, stuff like that, because we all have like other jobs and stuff. But like we luckily enough, we have people that support us and we have help I have help at the gym to kind of to cover clients and cover time like that, so I could still play music.
Cool. So, what was your favorite TV show as a kid?
Man, Roseanne.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, or Seinfeld. Roseanne or Seinfeld. Those are my
I've
favorite
heard
two.
of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Well, if you had a time machine, would you travel to the past or to the future with the promise that nothing you do in the past could affect your current life? Well, no, it could affect your current life just like if you wanted to, but like
Yeah.
if you kicked the rock in the wrong direction, it wouldn't stop you from being born.
Okay.
So,
I would probably go in the past.
yeah.
Or I would.
Also, what year do you think you'd want to visit?
Man, I always would tell my brother, because my brother is he's 8 years older than me. I always tell him, like, I wish I went to high school in the 80s, because that was probably the best time to go to high school. And the 80s were like such a good time for music and fashion and culture. A lot of things were coming up during that time. And, just to kind of be around that, like every day there was something new, like a new technology or a new something or other. Like it was just very, I look back and I love the movies from that time. I love the music from that time. I just would have went back just to experience that sort of like the surroundings and how awesome it would have been.
And you could also see Metallica at a small show at like a
Yeah,
small
you could see
bar.
Metallica in a club in front of like 300 people, which would have been awesome.
Yeah. So would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
I'll take the big one, horse-sized duck.
Okay. I I would do the 100 duck-sized horses because let's 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 say there was one horse-sized duck. He could chop your head off easily because ducks already could they can already
Yeah, they could bite.
hurt. But when it's giant, still gonna have teeth. It could rip and it could decapitate you.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I would want to just exert all my energy to one thing instead of like a bunch of little ducks.
Like final boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you could tell your 11-year-old self anything at all, what would you like to tell him?
Keep following your passion. Keep following what like makes your heart happy. Just do what makes you happy. I kind of realized at an early age that I'm going to set forth in this life and do things my own way because of the things that I like music. And the only way that you can really do it is to sacrifice and go for it. And, there's been ups and downs in my life, but music's been the constant. It's been a savior for me. So I just would have said, you know what, just follow your heart and do you, and really just do what makes you happy in life. And that was music for me, and it made me happy, and it still does. So I would have just told myself, like, keep doing what you're doing. Just whatever makes you happy, just go for it and give 100% towards what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, and it will be accomplished.
Nice. So anything you'd like to add before we wrap things up?
I mean, really, it's been a blessing. I mean, we've been a band for 23 years now. That's a long time, almost 24. That's more than half of my life, and it's been an honor to even do these like podcasts still, and have people want to know about my band is definitely a blessing for us that we still get to do it after all this time. So just want to say thank you to everybody that supports us. Thank you for having me on and getting the word out for this band. That's, old band, still, but there's still a lot of people that have yet to discover us. And so, thank you for giving us that opportunity.
Okay. Well, thanks to Brendan for joining me today, and thanks to all of you for watching or listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Until next week, bye!
Later, dude. Thank you.
You saw that incredible footage in which some Utah highway patrolmen had a very close call when a van spun out on a snowy road. You know that the cops were okay, but what about the people in the van? Les Trent reports.
Everything was just so chaotic.
It's pretty crazy.
They're members of a California band called Bleeding Through, and they're not talking about their latest concert. They're talking about their brush with death on the icy highways of Park City, Utah, captured on police dashboard cameras. They were bound for a gig in Colorado when it happened, just moments after cops were dealing with another car that had spun out of control.
Well, we were driving over the pass, and as we were going on a curve, there was a bridge, and it was all iced over, and we spun out and into the center where we hit another car that had already flipped over in the center. And our trailer broke off the van and flipped all over the place, throwing equipment in all directions.
Miraculously, nobody was badly hurt, including the cops who nearly got hit.
If it wasn't for the car that we hit that was already turned over, we would have started flipping.
The dash cam video was played all over the world, giving the band the kind of fame they'd like to have as musicians.
I had a friend in Australia call me yesterday telling me he saw it on his local news channel in Australia.
So the band will play on, knowing it could have been a lot worse.
Who knows what could have happened? We just totally lucked out.
Boy, they sure did. The band's about to head out on a 5-week tour of Europe. They tell us they won't be driving.